Well, all right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Hot Seat Automotive Podcast. It's your buddy CJ here. And tonight, we're talking about all things automotive industry, the car guy hobby, all the things that those real gearheads love talking about. Real gearhead talk. You know, this is the place to be for that real gearhead talk. Guys, welcome back to all my subscribers. You know your buddy CJ loves each and every one of you, and I'm so grateful for you. If you're new to the channel, give me a like and subscribe. Leave me those comments. Around here, guys, we're automotive enthusiasts. We're petrol heads. We're gearheads. We love just talking about cars, okay? Because if you're like me, growing up as a young car guy back in the day, my buddies and I, what did we do? We sat around talking about cars. And then we all got cars, right? And we still talked about cars at the lunch table in high school and what have you. And then as young adults, what did we do? We talked about cars. I think you're seeing a trend here, guys. This is what we do. And listen, if you're into that kind of thing, welcome to the channel. We're going to go ahead and get right into it, guys. One of the things that I like to cover on this channel, among many, whether it's the automotive industry or automotive events or new cars or classic cars, member cars, subscriber cars, love talking to you people, interviews. I like talking about my cars and kind of giving you my experience as a fellow gearhead, what I'm driving these days, what I got my eye on, what I'm in the market for. And those of you that follow the channel, you know that in 2024, I purchased a Chevrolet Corvette C8 Z06. So I had my eye on a C8 Z06 for a while. I'm a Corvette fan. I wouldn't say I'm a Corvette nut. I've owned multiple Corvettes over the years, and I really like the Corvette, as a sports car and as just an incredible all-arounder to enjoy in this hobby. I always have. I still remember buying my first Corvette a number of years ago. I can talk about that maybe on another episode. But I had a C8 Stingray. From the time the Z06 was announced, I knew I'd get my hands on one eventually. And I was really waiting for a couple things, guys, right? One, the market to adjust to a point that I was comfortable with and that I was willing to accept. I'd been offered allocations at premiums, okay? I've been offered to go on wait lists for 2 years. Yeah, no thanks. Wasn't interested in that. I'm impatient. Your buddy CJ's an impatient car guy. I want it now. I want it when I want it. I don't mind paying a little premium for a car if that's what I want to do to get the car I want. So there's that. I had to find the one that I wanted. I'm very particular, and I know a lot of you guys are as well. If I'm going to buy a car, there's more to it than just a spec and performance and a badge. Like, I've got to really be into the car. I've got to be drawn to it. I've got to be attracted to it. I always say cars for an automotive enthusiast are an emotional buy. There's more to it than just transportation. And I think a lot of normal people, non-car guys, non-automotive enthusiasts don't get that, right? They see it as four wheels and an engine or four wheels and an electric motor. They don't get it like you and I. See, we're on the same level, right? We're gearheads, we're petrol heads. We're all about it. And I think you're probably like your buddy CJ here. You got to really be attracted to, drawn in, have, I say a relationship with the car. I'm not being weird, like I have an emotional relationship with it, but a connection with it. Perhaps that's a better term. So I had to find the right Z06. And I did. I'll show you what I bought just as a bit of a refresher. And guys, you can go back and watch my earlier episode where I kind of cover in detail exactly what I bought in terms of the spec of this car, so on and so forth. But I'll give you some of the highlights. So here it is. This is my 2023 Chevrolet Corvette Z06. This is a 2LZ. This car has a bunch of options on it that I think made it very desirable to me. I'll say that. Number one, it's got the carbon ceramic brakes. Okay. Carbon ceramic brakes are not a cheap option on any car, and certainly not on a Corvette Z06. So I want to say, what was that? $7,500, $8,500 option on this car. Couple things. One, The carbon ceramic brakes don't fade when you're doing any sort of spirited performance driving, or they fade less. The coefficient for heat dissipation and all those things is just different than traditional steel brakes. They're more desirable in a track environment. Now, listen, I'll be the first to admit I am not a track car guy, but I do, I appreciate the carbon ceramic brakes for what they are. And then I'll be blunt with you. You ready? I'm going to be real because your buddy CJ always keeps it real. Carbon ceramic brakes do not give off all that brake dust that traditional brakes do. They just don't. So I drive my cars, and I drive my cars a lot, right? My cars are not garage queens, none of them. It could be a supercar, it could be a sports car, it could be a classic. Any car I own, I'm going to drive. I'm going to put miles on it. I'm going to enjoy that car. That's just how your buddy CJ is. And I know a lot of you can relate to that. So for me, I'm big on keeping my cars clean. Yes, I drive them, but then I like to wash them, maintain them, ceramic coating, PPF. I do all that stuff on my cars. So the ceramic brakes really don't give off a hell of a lot of brake dust. Now, some of y'all can make fun of me and say, well, CJ, who cares? I care. It's part of my enjoyment of my cars. I don't enter car shows to win and get trophies. I could care less about that. To me, that's like I'm going to be blunt. That's like a poser side. It's like the ultimate insecurity is that I have to get little trophies for my car. Like, no, I don't need that. My car is for me. I'm being funny. You guys know that. If you go to car shows and you're big on all that, good for you. But for me, I buy my cars for me to enjoy, and whatever the heck form that takes, So I'm not big on, garage queen cars or going to go win trophies. I don't care about that, but I do like to keep my stuff clean and pristine and well maintained. And anybody that knows me knows that's how I am. This car has the black paint. Obviously, it's blacked out on the outside. Black exhaust tips, black badges. Okay, on the inside, I have the two-tone brown and black, which I think is cool, kind of retro. Reminds me of some of those retro performance cars, if you will. I don't know. I like the vibe. So I negotiated on this car for about 6 weeks. I'm not kidding. I negotiated on this car. I walked away from it 3 or 4 times, and I came back to it. This car really was talking to me, and I do not regret buying this car for a moment. I would say, in summary, guys, when we think about the Z06, I want to talk to you about a couple things about the ownership experience. Let's get right into it. I've had the car for about 4 months, put about 4,000 miles on it. I've done 3 significant road trips on it, including the Hot Rod Power Tour. By the way, an impressive stat, 19 miles per gallon on a road trip. With a 670 horsepower Chevrolet Corvette Z06, super Corvette, right? Incredible performance. Forget about it. Don't take my word for it. Go look on YouTube. All the videos of the C8 Z06 smoking all them other cars. 10.5 second quarter mile. 2.6 second or so, 2.7 second, 0 to 60. Thing's an animal. And I got 19 miles per gallon. Let me show you this. Because your buddy CJ keeps it real. And I'm going to show you proof. I don't mess around, guys. We don't mess around here. And God knows we have fun. But check it out. So there's a screenshot of my dash. And as you can see, I had done about 1,580 miles, I think, on this particular road trip. Speed, I averaged 51 miles per hour. Now, this road trip had some highway and some back roads. My fuel economy was 19 miles per gallon. Not bad for a C8 Z06 Super Corvette, right? This is not like, a Stingray in econo mode. Like, even in tour mode in the Z06, it wants to rev. C8 Z06 wants to rev, boys. It's just different animal than a Stingray. yet I still got 19 miles per gallon. I don't want to over-rotate on this, but I'll tell you what, I'm pretty jazzed about that. You guys let me know what you think. Leave me those comments. And by the way, what kind of mileage, if you're a C8 Z06 owner, what kind of mileage have you gotten? If you're a C7 Z06 owner, leave me those comments. Let me know what kind of mileage you've been getting. I think this stuff is interesting. But I want to keep talking here. So what do I like about the C8 Z06 and what makes the C8 Z06 ownership experience unique, different from other Corvettes, different from a C8 Stingray? Let's talk about that. Number one, the sound. The sound. The noises the C8 Z06 makes with that flat plane crank, naturally aspirated engine are like nothing else. Listen, come over to my house. Come over to my house this weekend. We're going to go for a ride. I'm going to put it in sport mode or track mode, and it's going to blow your mind. This car does not sound like any other Corvette. Forget about it. It doesn't sound like a Corvette. One of the coolest things, and if you come for a ride with your buddy CJ, I wish you would, and we'll go cruising around town, right? Where there's people and they hear this car opened up a bit, the exhaust valve's open, she's making some noise, she's revving, they lose their mind. They turn their heads. Why? I'm being real with you. It sounds more like, in some cases, it reminds me of like a high-performance motorcycle, like a Gixxer or something. Okay? It just does. It doesn't sound like a pushrod V8 engine, you know, especially when it's screaming high rev. I've got a couple videos out there on my shorts. My short videos. We call them shorts. Check it out, guys. That didn't come out right. Listen, I put my my GoPro on and let the exhaust scream a bit. Dude, it revs to 8,500, 9,000 RPM, whatever it is. And it's just high pitch, high intensity noises, as opposed to what you would normally think of from a Detroit American V8, quote unquote. We might think of something more throaty and bassy and deep. That is not the C8 Z06. So it will fill the cabin with this high pitch, wild, loud, intense engine noise that you do not get from a Stingray. You do not get from any C7. I've driven them all. You don't get from a C6. I've driven all of them. I've owned a bunch of them, and I've driven all of them. I've driven Mustangs. I've owned Mustangs, Porsches, Challengers, supercars, you name it. This car is different. Now, I'm not getting up here and telling you that the C8 Z06 is the ultimate supercar. I'm not. I don't classify it as a supercar. I classify it, as a super Corvette. And that's what it is. It is, listen, that leads me to my next point. What's it like to own a C8 Z06? Wild but balanced. The C8 Z06 is wild but balanced. That's how I would categorize it. Let's compare that. C8 Stingray, I would say, is balanced and fun. Very fast, very quick car, C8 Stingray. But it is a completely different driving experience in the Z06. Some guys will say, well, wait, I got this beautiful C8 Stingray. Why would I want a Z06? You go drive a C8 Z06 and you get on it and you have a little bit of fun with it. And then you come see your buddy CJ, let's talk about it. Listen, I'm not dumping on a C8 Stingray. I loved my C8 Stingray. That's an incredible car. I owned that car for 2.5, 3 years. I put 17,000 miles on my C8 Stingray, and I smiled and enjoyed every one of those miles. But it does not drive like a C8 Z06. The C8 Z06 is wild, accelerates, pulls, and shifts and sounds like nothing else in the Corvette category, like no other American car, really. . However, it does not scare you. Wild but balanced, you see? The C8 Z06 will not scare you guys. I've been in cars that scare you. You know, you hear about, the car with, somebody they bolt on the supercharger and and all this. Next thing you know, they got 800, 900, 1,000, 1,200 horsepower, twin turbos. Yeah, a lot of those cars scare you, and you can't use all that power. C8 Z06, 670 horsepower in that platform, that car is she's dialed in. It goes. Car goes, and you feel controlled. How do you like that? You can get yourself into trouble. I'll be the first to admit it. I don't claim to be Mario Andretti over here, or Ayrton Senna or something. Although I am a pretty good driver, if I don't say so myself. Come on. But as long as you use your smarts, you'll be safe in a C8 Z06. Which brings me to my next point. Handling. Handling's better than a Stingray. You ready for this? Who knows Gracie? Grace is my wife. A lot of you people, my buddies out there, my friends, you know Grace, right? I call her Supercar Gracie. She don't know that, but I call her that. Grace is a car girl, okay? I mean, I really got her into the hobby, but anything I own, Grace drives. She enjoys it. She gets into it. Not as much as me, but she's also done a bunch of driving events. She's driven everything. She's driven everything from McLarens to Camaros to Corvettes to Mustangs to Bentleys to Lamborghinis. Grace has driven a lot of different cars, okay? She's a good driver, too. She took the Z06 out. You'll see where I'm going with this in a minute. She took the Z06 out a couple weeks ago and drove all around wherever with it. Errands, what have you, around town. Unsolicited, she came back to me. You know what she said? She said, CJ, that car reminds me of the Porsches we've owned. She said, it does not remind me of our C8 Stingray. That car is different. And I said, are you kidding me? Tell me more about that. And Grace said, the way it handles, the way it steers, she said, just everything about it just feels more like a Porsche. That's her words, not mine. Supercar Gracie. We should start a channel for her. But in all seriousness, I agree with Grace. And, Porsche guys don't get butthurt over that. Listen, I'm a Porsche fan. I'm a former Porsche owner, and I'll own another Porsche. Okay, I've looked at a couple recently. I almost bought one last month. Maybe that's a topic for a whole other episode. But I compare the C8 Z06 more to like a GT3 or a GTS Porsche than I do a C8 Stingray. I don't care if that upsets people. I'm being real with you. And of course, listen, let me bring it back down to reality. It's the same platform as the C8 Stingray. So is the ZR1. So is the E-Ray. Absolutely. But these cars have very different personalities and different trims. And I am telling you unequivocally and clearly that driving a C8 Z06 is a very different driving experience than a Stingray. That's all. Stingray is really good. Z06 is more intense, more focused, and as I say, wild but balanced. So that's a bit about the handling. Next thing I want to talk about, and let's take a look at another shot of my car because why not? This is fun. So one of the things I did before I get into a couple of other performance topics, in my road trips this summer, I went out to Bowling Green, Kentucky. So here's my C8 Z06 back home in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Your buddy CJ on the road doing road trips with a C8 Z06. I drive my cars. My cars are not garage queens. Y'all need to get out there and drive your cars like your buddy CJ. So C8 Z06 on the road out to Bowling Green, Kentucky. I checked out the factory. I checked out the museum. It was really cool. But I just thought this was a really cool shot. The Z06 in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It went home, right? But listen, I really enjoyed road tripping with this car. On the highway in tour mode, comfort mode, whatever they call it. I drive so many different cars, I can't remember the modes. But basically, it's touring mode or comfort mode. The Z06 is still fun and exhilarating to drive. The exhaust is quieter. It does have lower shift points in terms of RPM, but it still winds out more than a Stingray, even in tour mode. Whereas a Stingray in tour mode will get up to 8th gear really quick. The Stingray will still want to, the Z06 will still want to wind out, which I think is kind of interesting, right? But again, C8 Z06, a great road trip car, a wild but balanced performance car. You heard it here first. After 4 months of ownership of the C8 Z06, I'm going to say it again. It's a very fun and wild car in many ways, but balanced. And yes, you can road trip a C8 Z06. So let's keep going, guys. I want to talk about the 60 to 120. Look, any C8 Corvette 0 to 60 will melt your face. They're all ridiculous. Okay? They are all ridiculous. But what I'm here to tell you is the C8 Z06 60 to 120 is where you're going to really feel it, boys. You get this car on the highway, and maybe I would do this like in Mexico or on the Autobahn. No, listen, I'm having a bit of fun. But in all seriousness, 0 to 60, it's fast. It's ridiculous. It's quick. 60 to 120, bye. Goodbye. You ain't hanging with me, cuz. You ain't hanging with the Z06. Look, I'm talking about factory sports cars, even a lot of the supercars. You are not hanging with the Z06. It's fitting to smoke you. You're going to get dragged, as they say. Listen, that's a good indication of where you're going to feel it in all seriousness. 60 to 120. It's just different. I want to talk about a couple of comparisons here now, guys. And then I want to talk about whether or not you should buy a C8 Z06. Your buddy CJ going to give it to you straight. I ain't going to... look, should I buy a C8 Z06? I've had people ask me, CJ, what's the difference? Is it worth it? Well, I just outlined some things that are differences that make it unique, okay? But then I'm going to help you answer the question because we love talking about cars. And I wish, reach out if you want to talk about this more. But should you buy one? I'm going to tell you what I think and maybe help you think differently about it. You'll make your own decision. Your buddy CJ's not paying for the car. You are. But come on, let's keep going. See, we talked about the Z06 versus the Stingray. Let's just put a pin in that, put a top on that, if you will. What I want to say on that is, look, if you're into more of a chill, relaxed driving experience, if you're going to take the car out on weekends and throw your golf clubs in the back, all right, and, go to dinner in it and all these things, and your wife's going to drive it, I mean, you're going to love the Stingray. You're going to love the Stingray. I would get a Z51 if I were you. I'm not going to get into it now, but it's a great performance and appearance package. You can go cheap and not get a Z51. I don't recommend it. Go with the Z51. You get the sport exhaust. You get some other things. Trust your buddy, CJ. Let's talk about the Z06 versus the E-Ray and the Z06 versus the ZR1 that's getting ready to come out. By the way, the number one thing, let's talk budget. Okay? You can snag like a really nice C8 Stingray now for like $60,000 to $70,000, $80,000. Beautiful car. Cool car. You're going to have a blast with it. Enjoy it. Enjoy. You a Corvette guy now. You want to get into a Z06? You're looking at $120,000. You might find one at 107. You might find one at 110. But one you're going to want with low mileage and all the options, okay? You're going to be looking at 120, 130, 140. If you want the Z07 package, you're going to be looking at more. Yes, the market has adjusted down. Everything's adjusted down. Just deal with it. Like people say, well, CJ, the Z06 market has come down. Yes, it has. They're making more. It's still a fraction of the overall Corvette market. Yes, the ZR1 is coming and the E-Ray. But the macroeconomic conditions have had an impact on certainly the Corvette market. and the Ferrari market and the Toyota market, all of them, right? The housing market, interest rates. We're not going to get into that. It's interesting stuff, but we ain't going to get into it tonight. Guys, the E-Ray. So what do I think? Z06 versus E-Ray. I've only seen one E-Ray on the road so far. It was mentioned a couple of years ago, and I actually kind of can relate to this. It connects with me. The E-Ray is like what the Grand Sport was, and I think that's an interesting comparison. The E-Ray is now the Grand Sport trim. Kind of interesting, right? You guys tell me what you think. But listen, hybrid, all-wheel drive, Corvette. If that's your jam and you want to go hybrid, try to get into an E-Ray, but you're going to pay a premium for that right now. The Z06 versus the E-Ray is the guy who wants the edginess, the track focus, but that's still balanced and you can actually drive and not feel that it's just completely over the top. That's your Z06, and it is a badass car. It is a wild, incredible car that will blow your mind and sounds like nothing else. The E-Ray, whoa, look at this thing. I'm breaking my microphone here. The E-Ray is a very fast and quick car, but has that same power plant out of the Stingray. So it's not going to sound, it's not going to shift, it's not going to handle like your Z06, and it's not going to have that track-focused element, that edginess. More of probably a Grand Touring car. That's the way I see it. A Grand Touring sports car. How do you like that? I coined the term. Corvette guys don't hate. Come on. Your buddy CJ is just telling you what he thinks. You guys leave me comments. Tell me what you think. E-Ray, I think, is more the Grand Touring, G-Wiz, high-tech Corvette. So that's the vibe with the E-Ray. How's that battery going to hold up after 5 years? I don't know. You don't know. That would be a concern. I think GM's offering, some pretty good warranties on those. But it's a concern, right? It's going to be super high-tech, progressive, hybrid drivetrain like nothing else in the world. And I haven't driven an E-Ray yet. I'd like to. Let's talk about Z06 versus ZR1. Number one, reality check, people. ZR1 pricing has not been formally established yet, but this is a $180,000 Corvette. Is this thing on? Starting price will be somewhere around $180,000 for this thing, which means this is a $200,000 Corvette with options. All right. Base Stingray is what, 69? So you're looking at 2 to 3 times the price of a base Corvette. Number one, most Corvette guys are priced out. You ain't buying a ZR1. And I'm just being real with you. Number two, and I'm not saying you specifically, I'm saying in general, most people are never going to spend that on a car and are not going to spend it on a ZR1. It's true. Truth. I speak truth. Number two, extremely limited run. They're going to be hard to get. Do you know that your buddy CJ is on a couple of lists for ZR1s? They're in the hundreds. Do you know that a couple of dealerships have said to me, CJ, I seriously doubt we're even going to get one allocation. That's what they're saying now. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball to know if they're going to end up mass producing ZR1s, making just as many as they have Z06, maybe more than the Z06 and more than the E-Ray combined. But I doubt it. Write it down, take it to the bank. My prediction, this is going to be an extremely limited run car. Going to be hard to get your hands on one, even if you want one. And number three, if you do get one, this is a $200,000 purchase. Now, a lot of talk about the 1,000 horsepower. A couple things about 1,000 horsepower. I think we need to talk about reality, people. And by the way, twin turbo, I think it's going to be wild. Look, I've got other episodes where I talk about the ZR1. I think it's going to be an incredible car. But people get hung up on these numbers. Like There are 1,000 horsepower cars now. Dodge Demon SRT 170, whatever the hell they call it. It's a 1,000 horsepower car. 1,000 horsepower is rated at wide open throttle, WOT, on a dyno. You are never going to do that. You and me, we are never going to use that. And I'm not sitting here saying, well, you don't need all that power. I have super high performance cars. Believe me, I'm not the guy who's going to say that to you. What I am going to say is don't get caught up. Like let's talk about Hellcats, right? Demon SRT 170, whatever the hell it's called, right? 1,000 horsepower. Does that mean that your Hellcat Red Eye is a slouch? I got to get rid of my Hellcat Red Eye. No. They're both ridiculously fast cars, right? And that 170 is probably really hard to get that power down. So same thing's going to apply whether it's the new Lamborghini with 1,000 horsepower, all right? Or, there's the new Koenigsegg that's 2,300 horsepower. Whatever it is, I think these are incredible times. We've got these cars with horsepower ratings that like were from locomotives from years ago. It's ridiculous, right? These things are like jet aircraft. But you're not going to ever operate that car at wide open throttle. And if you do, God bless you. A lot of these super high performance cars will get smoked by like a Porsche 911 GTS with less power, or a Porsche 911 Carrera S. You get smoked in the quarter mile. You get smoked on a small track. Why? Because you're never operating at wide open throttle. And like if you look at the new 1,000 horsepower Lamborghini, for example, 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds, they haven't announced the quarter mile time. It'll probably dip into the 9s. But that's 1,000 horsepower. Now let's bring it back to the Z06, 670 horsepower, and it's a 10.5 second car in the quarter mile. 2.7 or so, 2.6 or 2.7 seconds, 0 to 60. It's very hard to do anything, to use anything anything over 500 horsepower. Very difficult to put that power down and use it. You ain't using it on the streets. I have a Mercedes-Benz with like 460 horsepower. I just did a 1,500 mile road trip in that. What, do you think I was wide open throttle using 460 horsepower in my twin turbo Mercedes-Benz? No. Mostly I was cruising at like 70, 75. Okay? And with these dual clutch transmissions that shift, you're in a power band much lower than what you're seeing at wide open throttle. So don't get caught up in these 1,000 horsepower ratings. Like, yes, it's impressive, but unless you own an airstrip, like literally a half-mile airstrip, you're not going to use that ever. It's interesting, right? I do think it's interesting to talk about these things. And by the way, I would buy any one of these cars. I'd love to own one. Well, would I want a Demon 170? I don't know. I had a Challenger SRT years ago, guys. I'm kind of over the whole Dodge Challenger thing. But I do like the looks of the wide body Hellcats. But, that 1,000 horsepower Demon 170, that doesn't nullify your other Challengers. That's absurd, right? And the reality is you're never going to operate at 9/10 of the limit of that Demon 170. You will never operate at that 9/10 of the limit in that ZR1 or the Z06 or your Stingray. Okay? So I say all of that to say this. There is no C8 that isn't incredible. They're all incredible, wonderful, intriguing cars. Number one, look at budget. Look, if money is no object and you have to have the 1,000 horsepower Corvette, go get a ZR1. I don't know what to tell you. Get the one you want. But setting aside a ZR1 that's going to be extremely constrained, limited, restricted, and very expensive for a Corvette, given the other cars that are in that price band. Is a Stingray the best car for you? Is a Z06 the best car for you, or an E-Ray? Should you look at a C7? maybe a C6. Now they're starting to be a bit dated, in my opinion. I say, number one, it comes down to budget. Should you buy a Z06? If not, why? Or if so, why? Number one, it comes down to budget, guys. You know, be realistic. Your buddy CJ is fiscally conservative. I'm frugal. Even though that might be hard to believe, I'm serious about making smart financial decisions, even though cars are not smart financial decisions. But in all seriousness, I would never want to see you or anybody get over their head with a car. And that certainly applies to Corvettes. Buy the Corvette that you can afford. That's my advice, number one. They're all great. Going back to the C4, the C3, C5, C6, 7, 8. They're all great. There's not a bad Corvette. Unless you're a Mustang guy. Mustangs are better than Corvettes, right? Or a Porsche guy. Porsches are better than Corvettes. Having a little bit of fun. Come on, we got it. Number one, look at budget. Number two, what kind of driving do you do? Am I going to go, again, throw my golf clubs in the back and put 100 miles on it a month? You know, maybe a Stingray is fine, or a C7. But if you're really an enthusiast that likes driving and getting the best out of the street experience and maybe doing some track events, maybe doing some quarter mile stuff, Z06 might be your buy. If you could only own one, Z06 is going to blow your mind. And as I said, come over my house and drive my car, and it will change the way you think about Corvettes. It changed the way I think about Corvettes. I'm being real with you. This is a serious car. Okay? Wild but balanced. Is it the right one for you? I don't know. Do you like wild cars? Do you like a car that sounds more like a motorcycle than a car? Real talk. Or do you like the throaty rumble of a vintage pushrod engine V8? If that's your jam and you just want something really nice and fun to go to Cars and Coffee and take the wife out in and cruise, you don't need a Z06 or a ZR1 or even an E-Ray. Stingray is going to be a fabulous ownership experience for you. You will enjoy that car. If you like to get wild and have a car that just is intense and focused and ignites your senses in every sense of the word, and people literally turn their head because they don't know what the hell they're hearing. It's not like, oh, look, there's a loud muscle car. That's not what I'm talking about. People hear the Z06 wide open or close to wide open, they get whiplash turning around to look. Like, it's a wild car, people. The ZR1, next level. It's a Z06 twin turbo, 1,000 horsepower. It's going to be wild, squared. But you ain't never going to be able to use all that. The idea is it's a ZR1. It's a special limited edition car. And there's something to be said for the prestige and the uniqueness of that car and the collectability of that car. But any Corvette, C8, C7, the performance, the driving experience, it's going to be fantastic. There really is no bad buy. So your preferences, your budget are going to dictate which one you should buy. I have nothing bad to say about a C8 Z06. Nothing. Okay? I do not regret buying it. I'm glad I got it out of my system, so to speak. I don't know how long I'm going to keep it. You want to buy it? Hit me up. Make me an offer on my C8 Z06. It's a cream puff. I treated it right, you know? I love that car. I'm going to drive it this weekend. Trust me, I'm getting ready to drive it this weekend. But guys, I wanted to come on here, give an ownership update, also share some thoughts on some developments in the Corvette market. What do I think about the ZR1, E-Ray versus Z06, Stingray? I want to share some thoughts. Look, those are just my opinions. I want to hear from you. Leave me those comments. Your buddy CJ loves each and every one of you. I'm so glad you all joined, guys. Be careful out there. Have a fantastic evening. And until then, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.